Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So here's a question. Do you say these things to yourself or within your mind? I just can't get going. I have goals. I just can't get the momentum to achieve them. Or you're just feeling kind of stuck. You're not moving. You're just there. You're existing. How do you get motivated to make change in your life or move life forward? We're going to talk about self motivation. And she's somebody that helps people with this and so much more all the time as a spiritual, personal, and relationship, also a business coach and decades of experience. So many in all different modalities, on and on. And it's amazing how many things that she has. I call it in the tool chest. You pull it down. This is what we're going to use today. We've got her, Dr. Joanne White, joins us on the program. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me, Steve. How are you?
Well, good to have you back here. And this is a very relatable thing we're talking about in terms of getting motivated to get things done. Why do people have issues with that?
Firstly, they don't believe in themselves, okay? And it's also about, oftentimes we look for external motivation, which is great, but it's really about accessing that intrinsic, that internal motivation that really keeps us going, and that's really key. So part of the initial thing is, why am I doing this? What's the purpose? What am I, and that really can be the catalyst for thinking, well, this is something important. It means a lot to me. It may mean a lot to other people. And having that sense of purpose can really start you moving in the right direction towards achieving it. We also need to be able, now people don't like this word, Steve, self-discipline. I'm going to shift it a little bit, say self-management. I mean,
Mm,
we use self-management all the time, right? I mean, to get dressed, to be out in the
mm,
world, what so but you need it to be able to monitor what's going on. And you also need passion. Passion is part of that drive and helps with that momentum. And I love that word that you utilized earlier, momentum, because that's kind of the fuel that helps us move forward. And not only that, you also need to have some sense of direction. Where am I going? May, I also call it like our personal GPS. We need an action plan. We need to be able to figure out the steps. What's important too is that we also have to be flexible. Life happens. Things
mm,
may change, and you may have to alter some of the direction, some of the plans, whatever, but that doesn't mean you lose sight of your purpose. You lose sight of the drive, of the meaning for what you want to do, because that all that creates that sense of fuel for you. You need to be determined. I
mm.
mean, and oftentimes, I want to say something because this is important. Oftentimes, we get really excited in the beginning of something, and then we lose the momentum, we lose the drive, we lose the passion. So you have to keep reminding yourself, why am I doing it? Why is this important to me and or to other people? And be able to continuously do that despite whether you have to shift things a little bit or take a different track or whatever, you still need to have that determination and take action.
Yeah, the reminder is critical because sometimes you get so deep in the rabbit hole, the weeds of an idea or whatever it is. And like you said, you jump in, oh, this is gonna be great. And then time goes by, and then you kind of slow down. And maybe you forget why you even started, what fueled your passion in the beginning.
And that's really important. What's really important, that purpose. Why am I doing this? I've been working on a project
Mm,
for I won't even tell you how many years. And it's almost at that point where, hello, finally, I saw it in a vision and I've been working on it and being able to continuously focus and know why you're doing it, even if it's been a long time. I once had somebody on my Power Life radio show and she said, "Oh, I've been working on something for over a year. And I'm thinking, over a year? How about 10 years? How about, like whatever it is, rather than, so you don't give up, right? You
Joanne,
don't.
I've been working on something since October and it's finally coming to fruition now. And I'm not going to lie, this is all resonating with me. The project has started losing a little steam. Actually, two, to be honest with you. They're separate. And what you just said was so impactful in my mind of remembering why are you doing this? There's a reason and a really, really good reason. Don't forget what the reason is. Maybe we should write it down so it's staring you in the face, right?
I like that idea. That's important. Yeah, because we have this vision, and oftentimes utilizing a vision that goes with this can really help. And like I said earlier, things can happen that get in the way, that stall it a little bit,
Yes.
that change it. But that doesn't mean you have to be stalled from your purpose. You have to maybe shift gears, backtrack a little bit, then move forward, whatever it is. And that's kind of like the track that you need to take, the moving forward. And that's why determination, resilience, and it is so very important. And we've talked about that a lot in our last session, our last interviews. But you need to be able to figure out, okay, this is so important. I'm not giving up. And you and I know that we're not giving up. I mean, I've been working on this thing for almost 20 years. I got the book out, but I also had the vision in my mind of something more than that. And keep your fingers crossed, we're finally moving it forward. It's like you don't give up. And
Mm.
that's so important because that's also about your attitude. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in the project? Do you believe in what
Mm.
you're doing? Or are you doubting your worth? Or are you doubting I can't do this? Somebody else can do a better job because that gets in the way.
Yeah.
And we don't need that, do we, Steve?
If you believe you can't,
You can't.
you can't. It's like what you ask for, you shall receive. And
Yes.
that's the universal law of the universe. Um, let's go with this one now. Fear of failure. Fear of failure. You may have the best idea and you get to take all the steps and you get closer and you get closer and you're right at the point where you're going to deploy the idea. And there it is. And there it is. And then self-doubt comes in
Right.
because deep down inside, what if it fails? And maybe disappoint others, but you disappoint yourself. How do you get
Right.
past that?
Right. Well, you got to be able to remember why you're doing it. And I keep saying that, but because that really fuels the passion. And what if it fails? Is it going to fail? But you won't even know unless you follow through and try it. So many people give up earlier, right before something's about to happen. And there are so many stories about people following through when they've had so many, no, sorry, we're not interested. No, it's not worth it. A lot of naysayers, a lot of no's, but they have persevered and moved forward. And finally, Steve, finally,
Mm,
there's that incredible moment where it happens. So if you give up too early, or if you doubt yourself, or decide you're not worth it or you can't do it. And, that self-belief is really important. And
mm,
what's it worth? And the question is, what's it worth to you? Oh, well, it's a project, or is it, this is something that's very important to me. Maybe it's important to my family. Maybe it's important to the people I work with, whatever it is. But that sense of importance needs to be highlighted so that the momentum, and you use that word early on, and I just keep using it because I love it. It's not only the energy, and energy is important, but it's the uplift. And we need that.
mm.
We need that.
I'm having visions of a journal that I occasionally write in. I need to do it more often. But a year and change ago, there was an entry in there essentially talking about the one project I was referring to. Um, it was the grander scale, but still somewhat connected to it. And I'm remembering it in my mind. So for the project I'm referring to, that I'm at that point now where it's starting to lose a little steam. Um, I'm going to write it down. And I don't have answers why. I don't know. I guess it took so long. Side note, I take responsibility. It was also on somebody else. I'm working with somebody else. It took them a long time to get their butt in
Right.
gear.
Right.
Um, so that, kind of took a little wind out of my sail, if you will. So I got to get that back because
Well,
it's done.
interestingly, because the project that I'm talking about, there are a few other people previously involved, which is kind of what slowed it down a little bit. Those people are no longer involved. Thank you very much. And so it
Mm,
is moving forward, and that's important. But despite that, you don't give up. And here's something, writing it down is important. During certain times of the month, it's really important when we can put that down and really look at it. And like I said about visualizing it is really important. So oftentimes, whether it's a daytime course of the day or a few weeks or whatever, see it in your mind coming to fruition. See it already happening and see it and feel it. Feel the joy about it, the excitement, the approval, whatever it is you want, as if it's happening right this moment. And I'd like our listeners, our viewers to do that right now. Think about a project you have. Think about something you want, and it doesn't matter how large or how small it is. That's what's important. Think about it for a minute. Have a vision in your mind, a picture in your mind of it happening right at this moment. How would you feel? That
mm,
project that you've been working on, how would you feel when here it is? It's out there. Yes. My enthusiasm is very high today, so it's probably a lot of coffee. But I'm also
sure.
but I'm also very passionate about this because I think you need that passion. So when you see it, you have the momentum, the feeling about it. Don't let anything, other people, stalling, whatever, get in your way of seeing it through, no matter how long it takes. And that's
Mm,
key. People
mm.
have said to me, "Well, why do you keep doing it? Why don't you give up?" No, sorry. There are many important reasons, and maybe it's also about figuring out what those reasons are, why you're doing it. Why is this so important?
This is key, the feeling,
Oh, yeah.
because once you lose the feeling, you kind of lost everything. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the 17-second rule.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Go ahead. Talk about it. Yeah.
Okay. Not the 5-second rule when you drop food on the floor. The 17-second. And it's been said that think of the best feeling ever. Just makes you feel good. Maybe it's going on vacation, sitting on the beach, no worries, having a drink in your hand, just staring at the water. Oh, you're away. Oh, it feels so good. Hold that thought for 17 seconds. Even if it was 10 years ago when you went on that vacation or whatever the situation was that made you feel good. You hold that thought in your mind. What's that feeling? 17 seconds. I don't know why. That's the number that they came up with. Now take that and apply it to something else. So that feeling of elation, joy, wonderful, the best. Take that feeling and then transpose it into, let's say, that project that you're working on that you're losing steam with. Find that feeling again to fuel you forward.
The feeling is incredibly important because it also brings up more renewal in terms of our emotions, in terms of our passion,
Yeah.
and in terms of our engagement. And we need that. Like I said, there are stories. I think the guy that opened up, um, I don't remember the name. Anyway, can't remember. But the point is that if you give up, you may be forever beating yourself up, saying, "Why did I do that? I mean, that was something important to me. Why did I let that go? Why did I release that?" You don't want to do that to yourself. You don't want to make yourself feel like a failure. And throughout the project or whatever it is, keeping that sense of purpose, that drive, that passion, despite anything that gets in the way. And we know what life is about. Things happen, that can deter us and move and say, well, no, but have the patience. Somebody said to me the other day, one of my clients, I don't have any patience to do it. I said, but this is something you really want to do. Yeah, but if it doesn't happen like now, what's the point? Think about
Mm.
that. What's the point is this is something that's meaningful to you, that makes a difference to you. Are you going to just give it up because it's not happening at this particular moment?
Maybe it wasn't supposed to.
Well, that's true too. But again,
Mm.
in terms of moving something forward, you need to be able to have the enthusiasm, the purpose, the discipline,
The chutzpah, as they say.
yes,
Uh,
exactly.
and it's interesting. The other project I'm working on, that I'm working on it with somebody else. So two separate situations, two separate people connected with, and separate projects. We've tried, and both of them actually go back to October. Um, we've tried a couple of things and they haven't worked out the way we thought they would. And it's all good. It's all part of a process. We're kind of carving some new territory. But the person I'm working on it with and myself feel just what I said before. Something's not right. That the universe is not aligning. There's a reason that this is not, energetically the flow to get it done. So maybe that's the universe's way of saying, go this way now, try this. So that's who we are. We're going to try a different direction. I get what you're saying about the patience because now the plan changed to this over here. And a part of me is like, oh, yeah, yeesh, all right,
You
now.
know, you may have to shift gears.
Yeah.
The project that I'm working on, we also decided to do it a little bit differently. It doesn't mean that it's gone. It just means that we're trying something else because the project is still very much important.
Hmm.
But it's a new route, a new direction, a
Yeah.
new way. And that doesn't matter because it's still keeping our minds, our hearts, our vision on what we want to do. It may be shifted a little bit, but that's okay.
Hmm. And people always say, and sometimes it bothers me, but it's true. I just don't want to admit it. What's the lesson? Now it's taken you a while with this project, but I'm going to guess and say along the way you learned some things. Would I be accurate in saying that?
Yes, and also the time for it wasn't, people weren't ready for it.
Hmm.
And that's important too. They're now ready for it. And, maybe it was ahead of its time. I'm not going to give them a lot more
You know
information
what?
about it, but that's
Mm, mm,
important.
mm.
So again, just because somebody else isn't ready and you have this vision, and there are many people like that, they have a vision and the world hasn't caught up to it yet. So maybe you wait and you put it out there and finally everybody's ready.
I get what you're saying because I worked with somebody, ooh, wow, 15 years ago on something, and it was their project. They just called me in to help with it. Wonderful. It was too soon. It was just too soon, and I know it. And deep in my heart, I want to redo it in a different way. But I feel that idea, it's now. We're ready for it now. That's a whole other
Right.
project. Not, but I know it was very clear, just what you said at that time. The world wasn't ready for this idea.
My book, More Heaven, because every child is special, when I wrote it years and years ago, and I presented it to publishers, I was told initially, we can't publish a book whose main characters are kids with special needs.
What?
Ex-
Like, oh my,
we're going back in time,
I get you.
okay, and I could have said, okay, well, this is a failure. I'm not giving up. I mean, I'm going to give up, but I waited years until everybody was ready.
Wow. And that was based on a real program, right?
Yes, definitely.
Hearing what you just said about what the publisher said, I'm very chill, low key. That makes me angry.
Part of it was the culture or how people saw people with
I
special
know.
needs, and and I agree. I mean, it made me angry too, but I couldn't do anything. I ended up self-publishing it, by the way, a little bit later
Hmm.
because it still needed to be out, and it's gotten awards and
Yep.
bestseller, da 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 da,
Yep.
because people woke up, not
Okay.
because of me, but people woke up.
Well, a lot of what we talk about, I feel the people have started to wake up. Consciousness, self-improvement, a lot of these principles, this was what they call woo-woo back in the day,
Right?
and then like we were freaks, to talk about this kind of stuff. Now people are like thirsty and hungry to learn how they can make themselves better and move their lives forward. Part of that also is having somebody walk the journey with you. People are open to therapists now. Imagine that. Counselors and all of that, and also coaches like yourself. How do we find you?
Well, I'm online and I have a website, drjoannewhite.com. And also I'm on social media and people can email me or call me because I'm always ready to speak to people and engage with them and help people. I'm here to serve. By the
Mm,
way, I think that everybody has something within them, some purpose, some passion that they need to be able to take a look at and decide, I'm ready. Even if they have to wait a while, I'm
mm,
ready. That's
mm.
important. It really is.
Takes a lot of self-searching, but also I feel you can't walk the journey alone. You need somebody to also see it from a different angle. Dr. Joanne White, DrJoanne White, spelled as it sounds.com. Thank you very much for being here. And next, we talked about motivating yourself. Next time we get together, we're going to talk about motivating others.
Yes, we are.
Mm,
And thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate being here and I appreciate you.
I appreciate you as well. We'll be
Thank
right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.